Good afternoon. Hello. Hope you all had a great lunch. And we are going to provide you a food again. But this time it will be food for thoughts. And that is also, as Sir said, it is also about a la carte versus buffet for D2C. Which channel will flourish, which channel will work, and which channel will not work, what will be the strategy for it. Let me simplify it. What's your name, sir? Naman. So Naman, you think about you are a customer of an apparel store, okay? So you have multiple options, right? You go to marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, and search for your size, colors, and you get it. Second one, that you are in a mall, and you also have an option to go to a store and you buy it. Third one, that you can go to say Pantaloons or other websites where you can go and directly buy it. So you have multiple channels. These are all the channels, okay? So, and we are trying to talk about what will be the right channel mix for a particular category. On top of all these channels, Naman, you also have a social media where you get intrigued by different kind of conversational commerce, and you get intrigued to buy products. You also have WhatsApp commerce, etc. And it is also coming that fintech companies like Paytm was already having some categories where you can go and buy. So there are different channels through which brands are trying to sell, and we'll try to discover that why they do that. Like, is it the revenue margin they want to cover up, or they want to have more conversion, or they want to do more ATVs. So Vaibhav has joined us. Yeah. So we'll discuss with all my esteemed co-panelists, and we'll discuss about their journey in their individual brands, and we'll try to understand how they do strategize this, how they do choose different platforms for their kind of categories, and try to make sure that that doesn't give up themselves to different competitions also, because there are a lot of challenges which will come when you are exposing your brand, competing directly in marketplaces with other vendors and other competitors. So we'll discuss that, and we'll start with Tanvi. Tanvi, you are from XYXX, and this is a very, very specific brand where we do a lot of online shopping, because we get a lot of explorations of these products which we generally tend to shy away from stores, right? So how are you coping up with different channel mixes, and what is the stories you are trying to build out of it?
So our brand is available across all channels. We are an omni-channel brand. We are live in offline. We are available in GT, modern trade, EBOs, but we are a digital first brand. What you mentioned that people sort of shy away while buying innerwear, but I don't think right now that is a story anymore. Because earlier, maybe 10 years back, how the overall buying behavior of a user used to be that, okay, their mom, especially in men's innerwear, their mom is going to buy something, because digital was not so popular that time, not your Amazon or Flipkart for that matter. Like, they all started from books and electronics. So like, your mom is going to the market, and if you need a refresh in your wardrobe, then she is getting the innerwear for you. But right now, the generation we are targeting, or the target group we are targeting, they are pretty open about what kind of product they need. They are much more experimental when it comes to anything that they want in whether with respect to food or apparel or electronic. So hence, the digital version of our business is booming, and all thanks to COVID, the brands like us really, really did well, because that time the offline business was not available at all. So platforms like Amazon, platforms like Flipkart really helped us to scale this overall business. So this the behavior of overall user buying has really, really shifted, and yes, in favor for us.
Wonderful. So I'll move to Khalid. So Khalid, your brand, the Indus Valley, which does healthy cookware production. So tell us that when you are competing with, say, Hawkins or Prestige of the world, how these channel mixes are actually helping you.
Definitely. Am I audible?
Are you-
Audible,
I hope
right?
so, yeah.
Right. So we are a digital first brand, and what helped us really is our story and our differentiated positioning. You would know that cookware is a very commoditized category, right? The huge market of unorganized market is there, and then there are certain hit brands which almost take 70-80% of the overall market share. But what was one thing which was missing was there, that if you say what does Prestige stand for, what does Hawkins stand for, what does Wonder Chef stand for, Preeti, any of these brands in cookware space, you will always all will say that it's a legacy brand, trusted brand, household brand, quality brand, etc. Similar story, no differentiation, no differentiation at all. So we were looking for something that what can we really do in this industry that can really help us differentiate. And there we found that there is one major space. Globally, there was a movement towards health and wellness, and post-pandemic, also in India, that health and wellness wave was there. So we found that you would have read recently also about Teflon flu and all that, right? The chemical coating which is there on all these non-stick cookware, which is not good for your health. So that we found as the major villain that is there in our kitchen. We all talk about healthy food, we talk about healthy cooking, but you are cooking that in a chemical coated cookware. So how is that food going to be healthy? So we introduced the concept of healthy cookware, and we became India's first healthy cookware brand. We introduced ourselves. So that story really helped us. And in terms of catching the eyeballs, means Meta ads, Google ads, being on Amazon, anybody could be there. But we led through that, and I'm with the brand for last 2.5 years. In these 2.5 years, we were able to do 3x sales. We became profitable, 100 crore brand. We are the highest visited duty-free website in cookware space, beating Prestige. We are number 4 in Amazon. So what we did is, to answer your question that how did these channels help us, at that point of time, definitely Meta, CPM, and Google CPC were lower, right? So that was one window of opportunity. When you have a differentiated story, it reaches very quickly, it gets relevance in the market. That is what helped for our website. On Amazon and Flipkart also, people, it was a cross-channel pollination which was happening. People found us on Instagram, on YouTube, etc. And then they found that when they were searching for tawa, kadai, cookware set, etc., that Indus Valley was there. And then the content really helped. When they clicked on it, the content really stood apart, because we told that we are not just another brand, we are a better brand. We are a healthier alternative. In all spaces like BPC and others, beauty personal care, you are choosing Mama Earths of the world, right? Because of that health and wellness question, why are you not making a better choice when it comes to cookware, where you are feeding you are using Saffola for your husband's good heart health, right? And you are spending on Bonvita and other for your children. Why are you not spending on healthy cookware for your good? So we've led with healthy cookware, healthy family. So that differentiated story was the thing. These channels were mostly vehicles for us, is what I would say.
So the story has to be
The
solid
story has to be
make
solid.
the channel notice
If it's a
you, right?
differentiated
Yeah.
story, it really helps.
Yeah. So that kind of story Arjun has. Arjun has Naagin sauce. When I got to know that I have to, interview Naagin, I gone through their stories of 2019 when they were watching a cricket match and then they didn't have the sauce and they thought like all the sauces are international sauce. Why don't you create something of Indian? So you have taken sustainability in your motto and you have done it without thinking much. So tell us about your journey, because I think it was started as a D2C brand, right? It is completely D2C. How did you promote your sauce? Because there are a lot of international brands which are actually captured in our mindset, or we are also buying those. How an Indian brand like Naagin captured the market using your D2C channel, or you have used some of the platforms with your story?
So it's actually a really interesting one for us is where it started for us is like, look, like India is the largest consumer and exporter of chilies worldwide, but we don't have like an international quality hot sauce in the country. Like we all know habaneros and harissas and chipotles and jalapenos, but we don't know as much about the Kantharis and Sankeshwari. Now, it can't just be, it's not a sexy word or something, Sankeshwari. Like, like we've got 3,000 indigenous chilies in this country. Every single one of them is absolutely on par with some of the world's best. And we just said, look, it absolutely cannot be that Western countries take away yet another amazing thing of India. Like, I mean, it already annoys me to no end that like Ayurveda is being like co-opted by the West and like yoga is being co-opted by the West. I was like, now you're gonna do that to chilies? Like, hell no. So I think that's part of like sort of like the driving force of like why we wanted to do it. I personally had the opportunity to live abroad for a bit, and I just thought that because I wasn't a terrible cook, I mean, because I was a terrible cook, does not mean I don't deserve good food. So what we ended up doing was like we just make the same combination of breads, egg, cheese, and noodles as one does in college. My diet was definitely that of a 10-year-old. But I think what makes it fun for us was just like a series of hot sauces that can add flavor and change everything. So, sort of just piecing all of these sort of life experiences together, we said, look, like, this is something we got to do. Like, you've got Eastern sort of flavors. Like, we've done like an Indo-Chinese. There's Sriracha, which is sort of Eastern. There's Tabasco, and like Nando's is sort of Western. But where's the Indian hot sauce here? Like, pickles are sort of limiting. Chutneys are, sort of like limiting in the sense that they have to be had fresh. At least that's when there's the most joy. Pickles, like, you can't really put achar on a pizza or something like that. It's more like your parathas or whatever, like very, very specific things. But hot sauce has an applicability across a whole bunch of products. It's got a shelf life that can, sort of persist for a while. And there's a lot of like potential here is what we thought. Over time, and I'll just sort of jump to the channel mix part, but we sort of started in the pandemic, and I think the biggest problem for us was going to be, how do you explain a flavor, right? Like, I couldn't just show you the impact of like, my hair product on frizzy hair, or like, look at twacha mein kya ho raha hai, and all. Like, I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't, show you a flavor. So we tried to get creative about what that meant, like emotions-wise, like in a different format. But what it's really amounted to over time is at the core of it, like, it's a food product. It's got to be tried on. And we needed to get more people to try the product. So a natural sort of fit for us was making inroads in the Horeca space, so sort of like your hotels, restaurants, and caterers. So as we've sort of had a chance to like branch out more there and more people have had a chance to try the product, is sort of when we've started to see more joy. We've also found that people like discover it maybe on D2C, but then they'll buy it on like a platform of convenience. So maybe you want it in 15 minutes, you'll do QCOM. Maybe you want to add it in with like a larger cart, you'll consider Amazon. Sauce is not necessarily like the most D2C friendly product. Pandemic was different times. There was no, there wasn't that much more to do. So I think people were happy to experiment a lot more, but it's a lot more convenient to go to your neighborhood store, get your QCOM, get your Amazon marketplaces. And that's sort of where the journey has taken us. Like, over time, I think we're going to have more penetration in the B2B space, more trials, hopefully get on more restaurant and bar tables. And I think in turn, that will have a larger impact for us on D2C. But at the core of it, I think what I'd like to say is just it's super experiential for us. And I think wherever you have an opportunity to get that experience going is what you have to consider. So it's less about what you prefer and more about what the customer is going to engage with. And whatever that answer is, you just have to be super open-minded.
And before I move to Ninad, I just want to tell you guys that, do you know how this name Naagin came? Why don't you tell that? So they were actually doing Naagin dance. Or watching something, that's what I heard, and then you derived the name.
So I give credit to my co-founder for this. So he's the type of person who just like see the Bangladesh cricket team, celebrate a hat trick with the Naagin dance, and he's like, Naaginsauce.com is something that should exist. So he goes and buys the domain name, and this is back in 2016. We didn't have this conversation to 2018, and then we're just like, okay, so what do we call it? It's just like, I already know what we should call it. I was like, oh my God, let's hear this. And then he's like, Naagin. I was like, oh my God, dear Lord. But then went to sleep and then woke up the next morning. I was just like, I actually can't think of a better name than that. It's like, saap dasta hai, the sauce has some bite, chilies is kind of cool. Like, okay, like, it's intrinsically Indian and it's definitely fun. Like, I can't argue with that. So here we are now. And the only sad thing about it is when you find out that people tell you your name pops up as Arjun Naagin on Truecaller. That's not necessarily part of the game plan. But luckily now I'm married, so it's okay.
Thank you so much. I'll move to Ninad. Ninad is the modern man. So his designation is Chief Modern Man, right? So I was so surprised to see such designation. It's my first time I encountered such designation. I asked Nina, so what's this Modern Man is all about? Before I move to channel mixes, why don't you tell about that?
So it's obviously related to the brand. I think modernity is very core to what we do. We do men's accessories, and our hero product is the watch strap. We also do wallets and other accessories like eyewear cases. But watch straps is what we do. The vision is to become a modern luxury gear brand, and modernity has got its roots in every culture. So let's say in the 70s, the hippie culture was modern. Right. We are here to give men what is modern today, and today's man is actually undergoing a crisis in terms of how he wants to portray himself to the world because of a lot of other things happening, one of them being the rise of feminism. So men are, style is a reflection of how a man feels and how a man wants to portray himself to the world. So we want to create modern gear, which will make the modern man feel at ease. He wants to assert his presence, yet he doesn't want to, lose his flair. So it's a mix of the way we call it is vibrant sophistication is our product philosophy. That's the kind of products we want to create. And so modernity has to begin with us founders first, and that's why Chief Modern Man.
So I have a question for the audience. How many of you are modern man who are going through crisis of this masculinity versus a balanced approach? Raise your hands. Who thinks you are a modern man? Nobody? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. You can be a modern man.
You don't get enough accessories as a guy. I'm just saying this. Like my first manager ever when I joined the workforce told me this. He's just like, Arjun, like the first things you got to buy with your paycheck is you got to buy new shoes, you got to get a new belt, you got to get new sunglasses, you got to get a new watch, because that's the only 4 things you get as a guy. And it's like, what? That's crazy.
Yes.
He's like, no one's going to remember your jeans, no one's going to remember your shirt. That's the only 4 things you get as a guy. 15 years later, it's good to know someone's trying to do more with that.
And actually modernity, as I said, is core to everything that we do.
Yes.
So the TG that we have defined is also modern man.
Yes, it's a modern thoughts also. Like whatever you're doing, it's not about your personality, it's also about the thoughts. You are quite pragmatic for this current generation, for this situation also. So that's what you're modern.
So I have
and that's what your products are also very modern. Yeah.
I'm married, I have twin daughters, I have to balance my life, professional life, I have to take care of the daughters, I have to ensure my wife feels that I'm an equal partner. So all of that is the modern mix. And how do you portray it?
And I just, this reminds me, I was just going through Indra Nui's autobiography, and there she was telling that when she was in 1970s or 60s, her father was a modern man. Like her father was actually used to cook, used to take care of the studies and all that, which is typically mother do. But there is a perception in the society which needs to be broken, that a man can also do all this, because there is no harm of doing that, and that is actually beneficial for the whole family and the society, right?
And style changes as per your attitude. You will look around and see how many men with bulging biceps wearing tight t-shirts you see around in society. You won't.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And it's better to embrace modernity than to have a fake masculinity. But thank you so much. Now on the channel mix. Yeah. So how did you start and what is that?
Sure. So because we are brand first, product later, that doesn't mean that we don't put efforts in product. But great product is table stakes. We are a narrative first. Like our narrative has to resonate with people. And to build that narrative, we took a conscious call. We had to decide when we launched. And I mean, we've been in business for almost 3 years now. But we did start e-commerce only in November 23. We had to take a call whether we should develop our own website or whether we should be on Amazon or Flipkarts of the world. A lot of people, industry experts gave us opinions saying, why do you want to put the effort of having your own website? There are platforms, why don't you go there? But our narrative was very important to us. Narrative, not just of this whole, what we are doing with style, because our product is style, not just the watch strap or the wallet. It was very important that we build our own website to build that narrative, to seed that narrative. So we thought, okay, the first at least 1 year, we are not even going to think of any other marketplaces. Let's build a narrative on our own. We are talking to marketplaces now, but that too we are very careful where we want to, because unless it's seen in the right light, it will not be consumed.
Right, I'll come to some other questions related to that, but I'll move to Vaibhav. So Vaibhav, every e-commerce company or D2C company have a bestseller section. You are from the bestseller itself. So what are the bestseller in bestseller?
Okay, so we are a Danish fashion house. We have almost 50 brands globally. In India, the house has 6 brands. We've launched 6 brands in India. Jack and Jones, Veramada only are the more prominent ones, which you would be aware of. So we're in a business of selling edgy, chic fashion to the consumers.
Is it a fast fashion? Is it a fast fashion?
A large part of the portfolio is fast fashion. Okay. While of course, fast fashion as a definition also keeps on changing. Mind to market could be 30, 45, 60, 90 days. But the idea is to catch the global trends, because the consumers of today are pretty much connected to the global trends, and they would want those trends pretty much faster. So yeah, that's what we do. And from a channel mix perspective, I think because we are in India for almost 15 years now, basis our understanding of the channels, our thesis has been built. And for us, I think the D2C channels, which would be our retail and .com, like a lot of the panelists said, for us also the retail channels and the D2C would be a lot about narrative, storytelling, experience, apart from the financial metrics, of course. But yeah, a lot of it is about, because the brand is available in these channels with full glory. You have all the sub-brands, you have the entire collection available. So that's the large purpose we try to serve with D2C, apart from the financial metrics. But yeah, when it comes to marketplaces, I think we have further sort of bifurcations within marketplaces. We have horizontals like Amazon and Flipkart, and then we have vertical specialist players like Myntra, Jio, and then we have a new new chains, right, which are the quick commerces, and they're serving very different purposes. At least in our journey, like quick commerce would be all about impulse. Horizontals could be all about serving those core fashion consumers, and for the lack of a better word, a lot of liquidation happening there. And also from a vertical perspective, I think that's where we have a larger chance to display our fashion collection and trendy collection in the vertical players like Myntra. So that's what we have bifurcated, and every partner has a very different sort of part to play in our journey. Yeah.
Wonderful. So Tanvi, so for your brand, so as we talked about channel mixes, you have talked about that COVID has helped it a lot, but you have influencers like KL Rahul, who is also having their own brand sections, and he's one of the investors, if I'm not wrong, there. And yes, and so you have some categories which are created for him. That you have a lot of categories for top wear, bottom, women, men. Plus you have a category dedicated for one particular sportsman. So when you are talking about these different category mixes, how do you strategize for D2C versus your marketplace? Because marketplace has a lot of your competitions. And do you think that having those kind of unique USP products in marketplaces help better than keeping normal trunks or briefs?
No, so of course, every channel has its own speciality, like Vaibhav mentioned. So to answer to your first point, there is no specific product category for KL Rahul. Of course, our brand is innerwear first, and now we are transitioning ourselves into an overall men's apparel brand. So yeah, with KL coming on board, he has a certain fan following. So we are also getting that benefit, moving the revenue share into an apparel brand. But when it comes to D2C specifically, because D2C we see more from a brand building angle, and there we are able to communicate to our customer that we are not just an innerwear brand, we are also much more than that. Like we have in apparel, we have t-shirts, we have joggers, we have athleisure as a segment that is doing really, really well on D2C, because that gives us much more freedom to navigate our story towards that particular
It's a
product.
holistic
or range.
purchase for a man.
Exactly.
Or
But
woman.
as soon as you move into marketplaces, especially Amazon and Flipkart, the competition is very, very fierce, and there is a set expectation of consumer while purchasing certain categories. So for example, the product I would be selling on Flipkart would be very different with respect to price point as compared to Amazon, because Amazon, we have seen the behavior of a user is very, very different. They won't shy away buying a premium product and even in a larger pack, while Flipkart is very, very low price point driven, and maybe that's how, because Flipkart is very strong in T2 and Tier 3, and they are also trying to penetrate in T3 faster. So that's the strategy of the overall platform. So I also have to design my product portfolio for that channel, that okay, this is the price point that is doing really well in this particular category. Like I am almost close to the top leading brand in innerwear segment, but cracking outerwear on Flipkart is another level impossible, because the relationship of that platform with the local vendors or the non-branded segment sellers is so amazing that you can't enter or penetrate in that segment so easily unless you try to figure out that, okay, this is the price point I can turn into. Maybe we are not ready to do that. But Amazon, obviously, as compared to Flipkart, gives much more
Wider range.
And much more opportunity to project your brand in a certain way, and people relate to that. If I talk about quick commerce, then obviously the options are so limited, because you have now, how can you go about it? So if you are selling 100 options on Amazon or Flipkart, if you have figured out on Flipkart and Amazon, these are your 4 or 5 SKUs which are doing really, really well, quick commerce will ask only and only for those SKUs. And even for you as a brand, it makes much more sense to list those products and start selling it, to understand, because that platform for an apparel brand like us is so new. Because for food, they have, yes, it's an impulse purchase platform and it's doing really, really well for them. But for apparel, where the return is also one more option, where it is not an option for customer, unfortunately. So that's why it is, from a brand point of view, you have to decide which all products you want to go ahead with these channels, and be cautious what are you listing on these platforms, because in the end it's your brand that is on the stake, and if it is doing well, then definitely you can expand into multiple sub-verticals.
Wonderful. So taking cues from her, one question, Khalid, I do have, like when you have different price sensitive customers and you have a competition in different tiered cities, so how much content play a role? Because if you are talking about Flipkart, where she's telling that tier 2, tier 3 are the major customers, whereas Amazon is different. So content also plays a major role, right? When you are trying to penetrate into T3, T4 cities. So how are you playing with that in different channels?
Yeah, definitely. So from a pricing strategy, we are a mass premium brand. And it was as if I was listening to my founder. Like he also puts a lot of focus on content. So for example, tri-ply stainless steel or cast iron, where we are #1 in India, the price point is like double. So non-stick tawa and cast iron tawa, the price is almost double.
Just one thought, like I have heard from multiple brands whom I'm associated with, there are TSL sales which are like sold product, not going off the shelf. Right. They also put those in marketplaces because they think that there will be more viability of sale. Correct. So I'm just trying you guys to also address that point when you are addressing this.
Definitely. So basically what is happening is that what is the role that the content is playing? The content is playing the role of justifying the value. So we have a misconception that India is a price sensitive market. India is a value sensitive market. Yes. You are able to justify value then everything is fine. So how we, just to elaborate on what we did specifically, cast iron can live for generations. A non-stick tawa will last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. The coating will be gone. So we told them that you will be buying in your lifetime 10 tawas. Do the maths. The other angle was health angle, and different angles were there. So it is like how you are justifying and communicating the value, then customer is able to latch on to that. Lot of brands in the D2C space, if you see their pricing, majority of them are not selling because of price. It is despite price people are looking at it because their content is able to justify that it's a better choice that they are making. Mama did not beat L'Oreal's and Lakme's of the world on price. It told it's a better product. So then that, if the content is able to do that, in terms of medium, I will definitely say that video is the medium which really helped, short form videos and all that. So that really helped. Does that answer?
And the last one was that, do you also sell the products which are lying in your warehouse for a long time?
No, we don't do that on, actually it becomes, so we can place everywhere, but if you can do, all the D2C brands will do a little bit of clearance sale and all that. Yeah. So that will be flash sale, clearance sale, etc. And it is easy to get it done on your website than through marketplaces. Okay. Because what happens is that in marketplaces, there is a concept of price anchoring. Once there is a competition brand of ours who is doing that, it's a premium brand. They are taking a shortcut that, okay, in this season, they are dropping the price. But price anchoring happens. Customers have bought at that price. Then they are not associating that brand with premiumness or something like that. But when you are running it, the ad on, say, Facebook or Google or something like that, it is shown to a smaller set of audience, and you can get done with it, and every brand has clearance and all that. They will believe even offline retailers have clearance. So that is how we do that.
You are following the same mantra.
Yes.
If I may add, like both of us, even the category is very different, but our products are not limited to a shelf life. So whether it's seasonal also, we are like, there is no season associated to it. So when you say that you are putting on marketplaces the inventory that you are not able to sell, I think in our case, it could be a case in brands like there is a seasonality that, okay, if this is a winter product, then maybe last winter ka inventory reh gaya hoga that you have put in. But in our case, it is gonna be available across the board, and we have to make all the products available on all the channels wherever it seems relevant.
Yeah, you don't have seasonality, but you don't do have the demography. Like there will be young generations versus the old generations innerwear, right? So
but
that kind of
you can't differentiate on any of the marketplaces.
But the way you can promote that kind of categorization in your D2C channel, you cannot do that in marketplaces.
Yeah, that's true. Because that kind of a targeting you can't do on marketplaces specifically. It's visible to everybody.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll move to Arjun. So Arjun, your case, I just want to understand one thing. Like a sauce is associated with food. Sauce is associated with lot of restaurants. It is associated with a lot of recipes. So how do you envisage doing different kind of tie-ups to make your brand awareness increase or to go to a larger reach?
So actually, that's actually something that's been top of our mind ever since the beginning, right? Like, I mean, it's not the type of product you can just buy in and of itself. So I've envy a lot of other folks here in general. Like, you'll never just eat straight sauce, right? Like, I mean, it's always got to be paired with something. So contextual sampling is really important. Like, you walk into a store and then someone's sitting with a tray and being like, "Sir, would you like to try this?" And I'm just like, I have no idea how many hours that's been out on that tray. And you just have that sort of resistance to that moment. But when someone is looking to say you're hungry, you're looking to order food, you're buying something, you're parting with your own money and you get a chance to try the product at that point in time, you've already, I mean, it's a totally different type of sampling, right? Like, I mean, this is someone who actively wants to do it. So, but I think some principles stay the same even across categories. Like, I mean, I'll paraphrase a little bit, but it sounds like what everyone's going to agree with, I suppose, would be the idea is not to do a race to the bottom, because there's always some other dude willing to do some crazy discounting. The important thing is you increase the perceived value of your product in your customer's mind, as opposed to trying to make it sasta and make them feel like it's a good deal. Because that's exactly right. Like once I pay 120 rupees for something, I'm never going to pay 250 ever again. Because in my head, that's the price of what it's supposed to be, right? Like, so I think what we're trying to do is always trying to tell people, yes, our sauce is 250, and you'll tell me that the Sam's in Wakefield one is 30. But I'll also tell you to think about the experience you had with that, right? Like, when was the last time you opened the fridge and said, yeah, let me pull out that sauce, which is defined by a color? Red chili, green chili sauce, like it doesn't even have a name, doesn't have a flavor. You pick it up like, oh, it expired 4 months ago, you throw it in the trash, within 24 hours, it's back in your fridge. Someone went and bought it. Like, that's not the experience you want, right? So the idea is you want people to try it. There's a joy to seeing the end of a bottle. You know, like, you know you've been through it, you've been through a journey with this bottle. You know, like, and you know, I think contextual stuff is super important in the sense that I think 1 beer is a waste, 2 beers a waste, 3 beers a waste, 4 is probably not, right? You're having a great night. But like that, you probably spend 600 to 800 or 1,000 rupees to get that, but then you've had 4 hours of fun. But with 1 bottle of hot sauce, theoretically, you can just like have a month's worth of amazing food. Is that not worth 250 rupees? You're already paying 25 rupees for that piri-piri mix with your, you know, with your McDonald's fries and stuff. So, I mean, it is worth improving your food. It's just a question of like, how do you feel, you know, like how much you commit to wanting better things in your life. And like, it's not to say that there's no intrinsic value to it, but I'm saying, how many people here would have said, I don't want better tasting food? I guarantee that's zero. Or shame on you, right? Like, I mean, because who says that, right? Like, I mean, I think the idea is just like everyone wants something better, and unless your life is absolutely perfect, you're like the 3rd richest man in the world, you're dating a supermodel or whatever it is, like, it's like, come on, man, there's ways to improve your life, and maybe this is one of them. Like, I mean, everything is not for everyone, but you might be shocked at how you might add 20 years of awesomeness to your life by trying one new product once, right? So I think it's really important to increase the amount of trials you can. For us, that means pairing with other people and products. So Horeca is like a huge part of what we're doing. But at the core of it, like discoverability is a key thing. Dikha to bika is like extremely real. And if you're not there, or if you're not there at the moment someone is looking for you, you're done, right? That's it. So I think it's a tough ask. You're asking people to be available, have boots on the ground, have ads running, fight for the keywords, fight for your branded keywords. It's so much to do all at the same time. But at the core of it, like, you have to be available when people are looking, and you have to get super creative, whether that means making relatable content, you know, having tons of value in terms of like the product quality. You just got to keep trying new things constantly. Sorry for talking too long.
No problem. But that's a very important takeaway from that. Perceived value of a product is more than the actual value of the product. But only one thing, just to add on to you, you have great value and you have great products, all of you. But to just make yourself discovered, you know, like to make others aware of it, channels definitely help, right? On that note. Okay. So we will move to Ninad. So the same question on the tie-up, because you have gears which are very fancy, which you are wearing right now. But I was asking the same question that how many, you know, watch companies want to be associated with, or you want to be associated with them, or you just want to be independent. Whoever wants to buy, they come to you and, you know, just get their gear changed.
Yeah. So since we are a B2C brand, we are not looking to do B2B at all at this stage. I'm actually sailing the same boat as Anuj, because my watch strap is the sauce to the samosa called a watch. As far as our channel strategy is concerned, you know, the initial days of our business is when we realize that our customers want to see the product, you know, in their hand. They want to experience the product. And we allowed our channel strategy to be led by that. So instead of trying for different marketplaces, we said that, you know, we will open an experience center. So we converted our little small office into an experience center, which didn't cost much, just a few racks from IKEA. And we were surprised by the number of people who started paying us a visit there. Then I spoke to a few friends in the industry who, one of them had started a watch service center for luxury brands. I told him, can you keep my straps? He said, yes, why not, right? So I think for us, because, you know, I have also worked in the men's innerwear and athleisure category. Men's innerwear till 10 years ago was where, men would have just 3 or 4 pairs of underwear, and till the time there are signs of wear and tear, he would not buy another underwear, right? Socks also went through that transition. Today, men have at least 10 to 12 pairs of innerwear or socks. We want watch straps to reach there. Watch straps will reach there slowly. But for that to happen, we have to educate. And education cannot happen on Flipkart or Amazon, especially when people are not looking to change their watch straps. So that's why it's very important to look at where the category is from an adoption point of view, from an evolution point of view, and let your channel strategy be determined by that, rather than saying, oh, this is attractive, let me go there. We don't follow that as a strategy.
Wonderful. And when you are talking about making your stories very much perceivable and accepted, and D2C channel is the only channel to do that. So are you trying to say that you will be majorly a D2C versus a marketplace brand?
D2C and physical experiences. Okay. I'm glad that Broadway is doing what they are doing. That's a great place for us to try and experiment, because if people can see, people can try and pair our straps with, we can't do that on a Flipkart or an Amazon.
Yeah.
So I think, physical retail is going to be very important for us. Existing watch stores, so we are going to be opening up that channel also very soon. But, startup, low resources, I hope investors are listening. We have huge vision, huge plans.
Yeah. And he's wearing a khadi strap, right?
This is a watch strap made out of khadi. Just the first watch strap ever made in khadi in India. Titan made a watch with which they paired a khadi strap, but we are the first ones to make a watch strap purely in khadi.
So it's a made in India.
Yes, 100% made in India.
Yeah. So next, Vaibhav, for your brand, it's apparel and fast fashion, which is very much, very much competition hungry, right? You are always fighting with a lot of thousands of your competitions who are trying to do this. So how do you devise your strategy to beat the competition, and how channels help you?
Okay, so see, for us, we have been retail first brands. We had established a lot of retail presence between 2018 to 2014. So organic searches has, I would say, not been a very large problem for us. That's been pretty healthy for us right from the word go. But yeah, from a how do we fight out the competition? I think pretty cliched, but first it comes to we serve a very different segment. We believe that we serve a very different there is no international brand. I would say there are very few international brands who are giving an edgy or chic men's fashion like Jack & Jones. So we have a very niche space in that market. I would say a lot of the other larger brands are very core, and we are very fashion heavy. So we stayed true to that core, and it gets reflected in the way our stores look, and it gets reflected in the way our tie-ups are also with the celebrities in the past. So and of course it gets reflected in our collections as well. But yeah, we believe that from a channel strategy perspective, I think the scale is which comes from marketplaces clearly, and yeah, the perception and experience can be offered, and the storytelling can be offered in our D2C. And we, from an e-commerce perspective, are marketplace heavy. And yeah, from a how our women's portfolio goes, I think there is a large shift which we have seen in the consumer is more about product first and brand second. So it becomes even more important in the women's fashion of how fast you provide that fashion to the consumer. So yeah, the biggest emphasis for us in the women's portfolio remains how fast we refresh our collections.
Thank you. Now we'll quickly have a quick rapid fire round with all of you. And the conditions is that you cannot take a lot of time to answer it. And the first question is, what's your favorite brand? And you cannot take your own brand's name. What's your favorite brand? Apart from your brand. Fast. You have to speak here.
H&M.
Khalid, what's your favorite brand?
Nike.
Jung Hans.
What's that?
It's a watch. It's a minimalist watch company. I don't own one, but I love them.
Okay. Ninad?
Two actually. In my category, there's an Australian brand called Bellroy, And overall, I think Starbucks is my favorite brand.
For me, it's Apple and Nike.
Okay. Next question from your category. What is your best seller?
My best seller is a product called name Uno.
Yours?
We are #1 in cast iron in India.
Bestseller? In sauce?
The original. It's just called the original.
Sorry?
It's just called the original.
All the originals?
Yeah.
Okay. Yours, bestseller?
So the Scottish Harris tweed strap that we do is our bestseller.
Okay.
Our bestsellers, because we are fast fashion, our bestseller changes every month. Currently, our bestseller is a crochet shirt.
Bestsellers, bestseller.
So currently, it's a crochet shirt.
Yeah, okay. Next is the very tacky questions. Based on your customers, you can answer it. You can start first. Android versus iOS in India. For your customers.
iOS.
iOS? Your major customers come from iOS?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yours?
iOS.
iOS, your luxury. Yeah.
It's like almost 50-50 now.
Sorry?
It's 50-50 now.
50-50
just
now?
about, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're trying to...
It used to be
trying
iOS, now
trying
it's
to make a
become...
peace with all.
Oh no, I'm an Android guy, but I get the iOS obsession with people. So yeah, but we're 50-50 with customers.
Okay. Yours?
Ours is Android. We are kitchen essentials. Belong to every home.
Android?
Android.
Yours?
Android.
Android. Wonderful. Storytelling in digital commerce versus touch and feel in physical store.
In my case, I think touch and feel in physical store because you can't
Okay, don't
tell
have
the-
time. Yours.
Storytelling.
Yours?
You can be more creative.
There's no touch and feel prospects for for us. So
But your website tells a
we're
lot
gonna
of
go with
story. I
website.
told
We're
you.
gonna go with website.
Touch and feel.
Touch and feel?
Touch
Yours?
and feel.
Touch and feel. Thank you so much. I hope that we are on time, right? Thank you so much for your time and patience.